smell? Different.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Hello, welcome to another fluffy video, and we're going to bring you now our top 10 Guild Wars 2 features as the game is on the horizon. I'm here with Rob and Tom. My name's Tim. So yeah, let's get down to it, shall we? At number 10 we've got Community.
It's lovely, everyone can hug.
Yeah, it's nice
There's
to
lots
hug.
of love.
Hugging people in Guild Wars 2
loving.
is nice.
It's
But
like
seriously, what do we mean when we say number 10 is our is Community, and that's what we think is the 10th best feature?
You've got a home server, and there are lots of different servers, but once you're on your home server, you can go to other servers and guest there, and sort of say hi and play with people, PvE, and it's all good. And so it's really nice to be able to just, you know, everything is cross-realm. You can join a guild in a different server, you can
join multiple guilds.
Yeah, exactly, you can join multiple guilds.
There's no limits on what you can do with other people, basically.
I mean, friends across servers.
I mean, there are limits to what you can do with them, but you can do you can do the activities of Guild Wars 2 with anyone, and you know,
anywhere.
There's no, you know, you're not like on a separate server and then that's it. You can't play.
It's almost like they only have the servers just to keep the population manageable on that server.
Yeah.
Like if they didn't, if the world was big enough, I think they wouldn't even have separate shards. But because obviously you can't have 40 million people in Divinity's Reach, they have to obviously put people in different servers.
Yeah.
But it's really nice to be able to see that even though we have that, they can just, you know, reach across the world, let's just say, to a parallel dimension.
Yeah, it's literally like that thing of being in another dimension. At number 9 we have Story Mode.
It's awesome. Basically, you build up your own little story and then you play it out from just taking a few options and then actually having some options within the storyline itself and choices you have to make, which are really nice.
And the fact that you can bring your friends in if you're getting a little bit of trouble, they can actually join you in your little solo story mode.
Yeah, and having your own part of the city where you can go and see how your story is progressing, and how you keep that consistency. Like the problem with, you know, doing a quest and then not having anything change around you, but having a place where something does actually change and keeping that, it's just a really nice little feature.
I think it kind of makes the whole experience feel a little bit more personal to your character in a way that hasn't really happened in previous MMOs that I've played. Like, you know, you go off and do, you know, quests and you're involved in some big thing, but I mean, it's not really personal to your character in the same kind of way. And you know, I really think that the cutscenes that you get in the you know, in the personal story and all that kind of stuff, it really kind of makes it feel like you're on your own separate little mission somehow, and while you're also at the same time involved in the dynamically changing world. And yeah, I just love how it feels more personal.
The voice acting as well is brilliant.
Yeah,
I mean, for in-game voice acting, it's really well done.
The other thing is that when you do stuff in your own little story mode, it's persistent, the change. Whereas in other MMOs I've played, they last for a few minutes and then they reset themselves.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I mean, WoW does have phasing, to be fair to it.
Yeah, but then
that just kind of ends up being like a massive.
I haven't seen that because I haven't played it for so long.
Because, you know, you'd end up like your character's registered as being in a particular phase for that area, and then you won't be able to play with people who weren't in that phase, and it was very retarded. Anyway,
and really confusing when on the party map you sort of see the blob and you're trying to run over to someone and they're not there. It's kind of like, where have you gone? Oh, we're different phase. Yeah, of course.
At number 8 we've got downscaling. The fact that when you go into a low level area, you're not just running around and one-shotting everything like some sort of ultimate badass.
Well,
you know,
in level 1 areas you will be, because that's just the way it is.
Yeah, but it's still not like when you were like level 80 while going back to Redridge or whatever.
Tripping through the woods, just destroying everything as you go.
you do kind of own mobs slightly, but I mean.
But when you
still
actually go back
tweaked,
to a level,
I guess, as well.
When you go back to a level that's actually significant, so kind of like 10 and above, you actually do find that they're better. at being scaled down, which would make sense because the first mobs have to be weak anyway, because otherwise you'll be dead as a all the time.
Yeah, it's meant to be slightly friendly to people who are new and don't have all their skills and so on. So it makes sense that it's not.
If you're not paying attention, though, it's kind of jarring. You see like a level 10 and you're a level 20, and you think, oh, I'm going to take him out quick, and you can't.
Well, that's obviously just because you haven't been paying attention to the fact that it's different.
Yeah. It's a new mechanic, so we have to get used to it.
Yeah, and it works really well. And having the ability for them, for dynamic events to change, and then for you to actually go through an area and have a different dynamic event, just opens that is probably one of the most exciting things to me, is the fact that you could run through a low-level zone and have a completely different experience a few months later, or if you haven't been there for a while, then that's just brilliant. That's just exactly what you want. It gives the whole world a different, a value, instead of just being the place you go through at level 10 to 12 and then you're gone and you never see it again until you're leveling your next character. So yeah, that's brilliant. And then have dungeons as well. I mean, they can bring out a dungeon. Imagine them bringing out a new dungeon in another MMO and being able to go back to it and actually have it challenging, without it being a heroic level 80 instance. Dead mines. It's awesome.
At number 7, we have crafting.
The crafting is brilliant. Tom likes crafting as well, don't you, Tom?
Yeah, I like the fact that you can discover the recipes as opposed to have to have bought them or have to have found them. In fact, you can just accidentally make something new. It's awesome. But also overwhelming.
I love the way that you get so much XP for just basically gathering a load of shit and turning it into something useful. And it's not just like, oh, here's a little bit of XP for making some items. It's actually like, oh, you've been making stuff, that's great, here, have tons of experience.
And what you just said, making something useful, is exactly what it is. It really is useful. All the stuff I've made, I've been able to use. And I haven't been like completely level 1. This is like when I've got to like level 7 or 8. The stuff that I've actually been able to make and then been able to use it, and it's been an upgrade. I think actually the weapons start, when you've made a magical weapon, when you found some of them, they start at like level 10 anyway, so it's really nice to be able to have that time to gather, and then you've got a load of time to craft stuff. And
not like before, where you'd kind of like get some mats together and do your first crafting and find out that you've made a really awesome axe for a level 1 character and you're now level 10, and sorry, but you just suck.
and then you have to spend the next 2 hours getting yourself up to a level where you can actually make something semi-useful for yourself.
But then by that time you've killed so many mobs because they've been around while you're collecting that you've actually scaled out of that level, and now you have to grind more to get the mats.
In a way, you might say that Guild Wars 2 is the first time that this kind of stuff's actually been done right.
Just been thought about again, you know what I mean? Someone's thought about it.
Yeah.
What is bad about crafting? Okay, well, let's just remove that bit because it's rubbish, and let's give people, a reward for what they want to do.
Make it like something good to do, yeah. It's great. At number 6, we have PvP / World v World or Dub v Dub, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of that thing that you do when you fight against other people. And why do we love that?
Because of its scale for the Dub v Dub, as people call it. You don't have to be amazing at PvP to do it, but it's a whole different area to explore. There's loads of different stuff you can do. You can fend, you can build, you can go and do weird jumping puzzles, which is just odd to have them in a World v World area, but you can do it. You can go.
I love the fact that that's there, though.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? And you can go and claim resources as well, like go and get other people's orbs, and you can escort what are they called, Doliacs?
Those really slow lumbering things.
Caravans.
Yeah,
supply
the caravans. With the supply. And then it's just there's so much to do. It's just really good. And then the PvP itself, when you're actually fighting someone or in the structured PvP, having the structured PvP is brilliant, because if you're hardcore PvP, you just make a character, get through the opening sequence, go to the mists, and you're level 80. And you don't ever have to leave the mist. That's it. You can just stay there and level your way through doing PvP, and you get like decent rewards for it, because you get glory, and then you can go and spend your glory, and you can get different things. Like you get these little chests which give you kind of random items when you buy them for glory, and you can get things like cool weapons and armor, but you also get boosts that will boost your glory or whatever. That is kind of random, and you also get cool finisher moves like the cow finisher you can buy in the gem store. You can get different kind of finishes, which is just a really nice idea that just keeps the game flowing and fresh, and just again, it's just really well thought about. If people don't want to do PvE, they don't have to. They can just go and make a little team and go and own people in PvP.
Yeah, play the game however you like. It's fine.
Yeah, but it's a lot of people say this. A lot of games developers would say this, but ArenaNet seem to have delivered.
Yeah, they're not
really have.
They're not just making these wild claims; they're actually following them up with actions.
Yeah, and they seem to actually care about that, which is nice.
Moving on to number 5, which is the down state.
Get down.
Yeah, get down. Get down on the ground. So yeah, I mean the down state. I love the fact that this is in, and it kind of just adds a whole other dimension to the combat. Another dimension to the combat. If you go down on the ground, you're not finished yet. You've got a chance to impact the flow of combat still. You can help someone, you can heal yourself, you can it's another element to the combat. You get an access to another bunch of abilities that you don't normally have, and some of them are quite interesting depending on which class you're playing.
But usually you don't have enough time to even know what you're pushing. You're like, mash all the buttons.
Well, I mean, if you're not sure, don't forget to watch our downstate video, which details all of the downstate abilities for every class. Booyah!
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Segway. This message was sponsored by Tim. Yeah, it's really nice, and it fills the hole for healer, which is something you do actually need in a game without healing as a main, class profession role. So it's good. It really does fill it in quite nicely.
Yeah, that combined with being able to go and kind of revive people, I think, is what kind of fills the healery role.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's not that you're meant to be running around just reviving people, but it's kind of, in a game where there's no one actively topping people's health bars up, you need a backup option like that to be able to, otherwise it just, you'd be kind of just out for the count completely.
Exactly. It makes a lot of sense.
So, number 4 is dynamic events. So,
I hope that was clapping hands.
Yeah, it was actually. It was. That was my hands joining together as one and then parting repeatedly. Yeah, the dynamic events, brilliant for XP. The proper meat of the game. Everything else in PvE is trying to get you to do these dynamic events. So when you're running around your maps and exploring, which is a big part of the game, you stumble upon these chains that happen, and you can then just jump in and join in. You don't have to talk to anyone. You don't have to, get someone to share the quest with you or anything. It's brilliant, and it works really nicely. Thumbs up, definitely.
Loving it. Moving on to number 3, which is utility skills. And utility skills are something that I love an awful lot because they're one of those things that keeps your character combat experience kind of fresh and dynamic. And as we mentioned before, with the combat elements, you're swapping out you're unlocking abilities and you're swapping them out based on, potentially which weapons you're using, and generally just the whole experience of utility skills and how they can change up your character is what I like about them. What about you?
Completely, it's just situational, isn't it? You can just, if you're going to go into PvP, you can unlock you can use a load of stun lock or escape abilities and just put them in there. If you're going to go and do PvE, you can. It's just really nice how you can. They're not necessarily completely overpowering one or the other.
Yeah.
And they've all got their advantages and their disadvantages of using or not using one or the other. So I found them actually they've been quite balanced.
Yeah,
it's just.
But I've got to say, the other thing that I really like about them, is the fact that, like the whole combat in Guild Wars 2 with the action bar. I mean, you're limited. You can't. There's no, problem of having to have 50 different, utility skills at your disposal at any given time. You're going into combat and saying, I want to have access to this, this, and this, so that that's it, and you've got to rely on those tools then.
That's what makes it brilliant though, because you don't have the access to all of them.
Yeah.
And you've got to then use your brain a bit.
It's almost like another kind of meta version of speccing your character out.
Yeah, and it's just because of the way the skill points work and the purchasing of the skills and them just sitting there, then you just being able to quickly swap them in and out. It's just it just works really well, really nicely.
Yeah. Number 2 is weapon swapping.
I love weapon swapping.
I know, I love it as well.
But it's more than weapon swapping, because obviously there are 2 classes, professions, which don't weapon swap, which is the engineer and the elementalist. But then they've got their own type of swapping, which it's the kits for the engineer and the achievements for the elementalist. So
they kind of do have it. It's just done differently.
Yeah, it's just done differently. But that's really nice, isn't it? I mean, they could have weapon swapping is a really good idea, and having the weapons to set the skills is a really nice idea. But the changes they made with that is obviously the engineer then has kits, and the elementalist has achievements. It swaps up again, isn't it? It's just like they didn't have to do that. They could have just stuck with weapon swapping on the elementalist, but they didn't. They just made it different. And even the thief, you've got your 2 abilities on either hand, and then you've got the third one, which is made up of the combined, off and main hand.
The way it works differently on that class as opposed to the other classes. Exactly. It's just, it's not just we came up with this idea that, you're going to have a few weapons available to you based on your profession, and then we just copy pasted that idea to every class. It's not. It's actually feels like tailor made to each class in a way.
They thought about it again. Yeah, profession. So I mean, and then you've got the kind of the class. Sorry, I've said it just again. Profession specific abilities, like when you've put, you've got steel on your thief. The mesmer's got the shatter abilities, and the elementalist. They're the attunement abilities. So you switch between attunements, and it's just really nice how you've got these specific ones. Like for the warrior, his one changes depending on what weapon he's got. Your one changes as a thief depending on what you've stolen. It's really nicely done how it's completely different for each class.
And finally, number 1, explorability. So this is the big number 1, our favourite feature of Guild Wars 2 as a game, just in the kind of mechanical feature category of what we like. And basically, what we're saying with this one is we just love the fact that the game, it just invites you in and kind of makes you want to go and explore, and while you're doing that, you just don't know where you're going to get swept off to.
Yep, exactly. It's having the points of interest and then expanding it with vistas and having the waypoints that make you travel around a lot easier, and then having skill points to go and find, and then having the renown hearts to go and complete.
But all those things are working together to kind of drag you into a particular area, and then when you're there, you just don't know what's going to happen. You can go quite frequently. I've found is, you'll get you'll put your mind to doing something. You'll be like, right, I want to go there, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, and then when you get there, you actually just end up doing something completely different because there's just so much going on.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
It really just draws you in a way that I don't think's ever really been done before. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but your experience, my experience with leveling in other games is always, there's this zone, and there's some quests that I've got to work through in order to complete the zone, and then when I've done them all, I can move on to the next one, and it just feels it in and of itself, it kind of ends up feeling like just another version of grinding. And in Guild Wars 2, it just feels more like you come in and chill out and just do whatever you want. And
I think that's a danger with Guild Wars 2, though. In some ways, is the fact that people come in and they instantly expect to grind because it's an MMO, and then people are saying it's grindy because of the way they're playing it. When actually, we found that if you literally just explored and just relaxed, you'll find a lot more, and you'll end up doing a lot more and gaining a lot more XP.
Yeah. Just you know, enjoy it. Don't play. I mean, that would be my advice to anyone new to this game coming in at launch who hasn't played any of the beta, played any of the stress tests, whatever. Don't come in with some kind of like wow mentality. I'm just going to say that. Come in and just explore.
Yeah, don't try and get to 80 tomorrow.
There's no point in doing that, really, because you're cheating yourself out of like a really cool experience if you do that.
It would just be really frustrating, I think, because I know when we were trying to level up quickly to get into a dungeon so we could do some dungeon footage.
I wasn't feeling it then.
It just didn't work.
No.
We ran from heart to heart, thinking that would be the best way to do it, and we'd probably find some dynamic events on the way. But we were just so fast at like just going right, go over there.
Yeah.
It just didn't work.
We missed so much because we weren't like hanging around to see what would chain and where the story would go. We were just kind of running around trying to go absorb all the XP from the map, and it doesn't work that way. I don't think it doesn't work effectively anyway.
No, it doesn't. The real meat of the leveling is the dynamic events, which you just have to get involved with when they appear, and that happens when you explore.
Yeah, even if you just go out and say, I want to just go around and like, you know, chop down some saplings and get some ore. You know, if you run around doing that, you're gonna get, you know, involved in something very quickly, because they're constantly like popping up, these things. They're not like a rare event, they're actually pretty common.
Yep. Yeah,
you know,
they are.
So, you know, just,
I think we've lost Tom.
Go in and just absorb it, really. That would be my advice, and that's why we picked this one for our top, you know, feature that we love from Guild Wars 2, because at the end of the day, that's what it should all be about. You know, it should be about going into the game world and enjoying the experience, and not really about grinding to achieve completion.
Yeah, it kind of encapsulates everything in the list below it, really, because through the exploration you do everything.
Exactly, exploration is the key.
It is.
And so yeah, there you have it. That's our top 10 list of features for Guild Wars 2. We just wanted to do this now, just before the game comes out, because you know we've been playing the beta for a long time now, and we feel like we've come to a point where we can kind of identify all the different parts that we like about it. But yeah, let us know what you like about it, what your favourite features are, or where you possibly disagree with our list. We would love to get some feedback from you. We always like to get comments, and yeah, so please do that. Thanks once again for joining us for this video. We appreciate that. Don't forget to subscribe to be notified about future videos if you have not done so already. And yeah, thanks again. We look forward to seeing you in the near future. So, good night.
Bye.
Help me.
Tom.
Tom, you gonna say goodbye?
Bye.
Alright, cheers mate.